Get one thing understood. Positive vibes, maybe. PVM, live, talk show. Turn TV on so we can get things more acquainted, more intimate, and more groovy, and thinking, and feeling, and singing. You dig? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Jeide 8-track, you know? Our brother in the second half of the co-host for this evening, Dash, is going to be joining us shortly. But first and foremost, how y'all living? How y'all doing? Tatiana, how you doing, love? It's a beautiful Sunday evening. Summertime is upon us. We pray that y'all keeping yourselves hydrated. We pray that y'all keeping yourselves well endowed in terms of all the beautiful, luxurious blessings that there are to be had as far as the seasons, as far as the times, and as far as, you know, in the midst of a lot of crazy things that's happening, you know, notwithstanding the great things that need to be enjoyed as far as life is concerned. You dig what I'm saying? So, tonight, as you will soon be seeing in the comment sections, pinned in the comments, tonight's conversation is about emo convo. It's basically about the emotionality in conversation or in communication, and what enhances communication and what muddies conversations and communications regarding, you know, the place that emotionality has within it. You know what I'm saying? So for real, the conversation was sparked when the executive producer of PVM and myself, we were having a conversation, and we went all around the world as we usually do, and we was just talking about just the essentials of what certain levels of communication means to loved ones, and how it's really important to be right here when it comes to communication, you know what I'm saying? But what it takes to be right here in the first place, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna let too many gems slip and slide up out of my grip just yet, because first I gotta pin this comment, send a couple of invitations, and we gonna wait for Dash to come up in here so that we can have this conversation the proper way. So, in lieu of, what's going on with y'all, man? Pin a comment right now. Emo combo. You know what I mean? Praying everything is well with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, there's a lot of things underway, yo. Dash has Flying Mouth smoothies, organic for your weight loss needs, for your weight gain needs, or just to tantalizingly touch your taste buds. You know what I'm saying? Y'all head over to Dash, hit him up in a DM, you know what I mean? Give him a ring if you got his number, and make sure that you inquire about those Flying Mouth smoothies, you know what I'm saying? Dad hats coming soon, but let's keep it on the hush for now, you know what I'm saying? Yours truly will be designing dad hats, and the theme, we just gonna keep that on the hush as well. I got a nice mean theme that my manager and I were just talking about, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to have some nice themes for them dad hats coming up soon, you know what I'm saying? Personalized Jones and some fly shit up in the works, you know what I'm saying? Some Fly Mouth smoothies, dad hats coming soon, PVM merchandise. Y'all reach out to us as far as the t-shirts. Let us know your size, let us know your preference, and we're going to send them things out to you, you know what I mean? So, the PVM merchandise, shout out to T-Shirt Mercenaries, you know what I mean? Officially in full effect, you know what I'm saying? See Trice, what's going on? The Color Duchess, what's going on with you? You know what I'm saying? So, while Dash is coming up in here, start the conversation off like this so that we can get a little bit of our bearings together and the foundation set forth as far as why, you know what I mean, we're having the conversation that we're having. So, you know, Chev and I, we've known each other for years now, over a decade. So, you know, it just so happens that we happen to be folk that can have conversations regarding some wild shit, from the surreal to the abstract to even grounding it down to things of the, you know, logistic or practical basis and shit, you know? So we were talking about, you know, just how when sometimes you get inflamed, get too excited, when sometimes you're just too much up in your own zone and too much up in your own groove, how that plays against certain, you know, means of communication that that speaks to other things that need to be paid attention to. You know what I mean? For example, let's say euphemisms. You know what I mean? Roughly, the definition of a euphemism is to put something out there that speaks to something else. For example, if you're talking about somebody went home, but you don't want to tell that person that you're talking to that somebody died, use a euphemism. You know what I mean? Somebody went home. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. But you have to be like this with the person that you're using this euphemism in, or use a euphemism with, pardon me, in order for them to understand that there's a euphemism even being used. Otherwise, you know, people might get lost in the sauce, and that happens all the time. You got to be on the same groove line for these things to be working. But it's essential sometimes for meta conversations or for sub conversations to exist within conversations in order for a signature of communication to be established between certain parties. You know what I mean? It's almost jargon, you know what I mean? It's almost to the point where, you know what I mean, it's like secret society talk, damn near. Not as high level as it, but, you know, enough where, you know, you might throw a signal to somebody across the room and you know that that signal means something especially for you. You know what I'm saying? So that, Chev and I were talking, and we were just talking about the importance. C. Trice said, like an insider. Yes, like an insider. You know what I'm saying? So Chev and I were talking, and we were basically communicating about how, you know what I mean, somebody reached out to him regarding a favor, and he couldn't necessarily be present in that exact instance to render his services for said favor. But what was being asked of him wasn't on the surface the favor that was being asked. Instead, it was his presence. It wasn't really the service. It was his presence in order for something else to be facilitated. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we find ourselves in situations with our loved ones where, you know, it might be fear, it might be apprehension, it might be anxiety regarding wanting to be forward enough for somebody to understand where we're coming from, but not being hurtful at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So instead of us being cold cut, we like to, you know, use abstract terms, or we like to involve certain rhetoric that'll allow a person to walk into a gently guided road, circumstance, room, anything of the sort, without them having their guard up, per se, you know what I'm saying? Or even without them having a certain construct about a situation that might not be what the situation is asking for. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy that sometimes we even have to employ these means. But when you love somebody and when you're talking about genuine communication with people that you fuck with, it's essential for us to take our time with our tongues. You know what I mean? The tongue is powerful. It's life and death in the tongue. And, you know, while we continue to learn about ourselves and to execute from a core, from a real place, you know what I mean, regarding other people as well, and where they may be in their developmental places, paths, platforms, and so forth, you know what I mean? It's a real humbling practice in order for us to speak from a place where it's not necessarily from the rawness of our mind. We used to the rawness of our inner voices, you know what I'm saying? So we can be really raw about shit regarding ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It's easy. Niggas do it all the time. Some niggas cuss themselves out in their inner voices. You know what I mean? Some people are more gentle than others. You know what I'm saying? But you know how to deal with your own inner voice. However, not everybody knows how to deal with what you deal with regarding your inner voice. So it's things like this that we need to be able to be mindful about when it comes to communication and things of that nature. You know what I mean? Thus, it's a nice conversation. Dash said, continue to cook, Jeide. I need a few extra minutes. That's cool, bro. You said I should start on time because you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So that's smooth, man. Deep Thought Lyricist, what's going on with you, love? The Insight 513, what's going on with both of you loves? You know what I'm saying? Frankie got a plan, what's going on with your King? Muse V, what's going on, love? Glad that y'all all are in attendance. Glad y'all all chilling and grooving with us tonight. Dash is going to be with us shortly. But while we're waiting for Dash, and while I continue to keep things grooving and moving and shaking and baking, hey, what's an instance that any of y'all might have had in which communication just nosedived into something else? Basically based upon you trying to facilitate a space in which communication was supposed to be understood, but because somebody either wasn't on the same frequency as you, or somebody just didn't get it, or perhaps it might have just been something as simple as a signal not even being seen at the time. Because, ain't nobody going to be 100% up on their shit all times. We human, you know what I mean? We in the flesh. You know what I mean? Niggas go through shit all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't even matter if you at a certain level of mastery when it comes to whatever it is that you do. There's still a margin of flaw that we all are accountable for just in being in our limited existence as far as the flesh is concerned and regarded. You know what I'm saying? So let us know what instance that you might have had regarding communication, regarding emotionality within communication. And while y'all put that in the comments, we're about to bring Dash up in the...
Okay, what's up, Jeide?
Ain't shit. How you living?
How you living? So I got to hear a little bit of the snippets that you were saying pertaining to today's topic, So tell me, why was this an important topic for you to bring to us? Well, I mean for Shab and you to bring to us.
I'm gonna see if I can remix that question because I already brought it and I don't want to repeat per se, but I mix it enough for us to talk about the same thing without me, rolling the same ball up the hill. So basically, I had an instance in which, my lady and I, we went out, we went out somewhere to go and get some things done and whatnot, and it just so happens that I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't on my shit. She needed to use the restroom. We go into the store. I'm like, all right, cool. Only thing my eyes was on is looking for where the restroom is. You know what I'm saying?
Understandable.
What's up?
I said understandable.
Word. So I locate the restroom. Cool. Boom. We get to the restroom. She goes straight through. I'm like, all right, cool. Mission, I'm gonna stand right here and make sure things is cool. I ain't gonna go nowhere. So I pull out my phone and I handle some business. You know what I mean? I had business inquiry in my DM that I went ahead and handled and responded to. You know what I'm saying? My lady comes out of the restroom. She's devil. She's a bit, off. You know what I'm saying? I asked what's going on. She said, well, you didn't see the dude that walked in there with me? I'm like, what? Whole time, I didn't pay attention to the fact that she walked into the men's restroom by accident. And while I was in my phone taking care of business, there was a nigga that walked into the men's restroom as well. Now, God willing, nothing crazy happened and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? But it was an awkward ass situation enough that I had to check myself and shit, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? She put a bug into my ear about, how much time I spend on my phone and things of that nature. Because she always tells me that. And I got into my little feeling, you know what I'm saying, butt feel bags and shit, you know what I mean? But it was way more essential for me to be accountable for what it was. So I went off into my groove, you know what I'm saying, did some meditations, did some prayers, and we came back. We talked about it later, but I came back just on the type time where I knew that it wasn't going to happen again. You know what I'm saying? But it was essential for a conversation like this to happen because I felt that in that instance, it was way more necessary for me not to talk any shit because, like, you know what I mean? I could have did some shit, said some, oh, it was you should have been paying attention, I could have easily did something like that to protect my ego. But it wasn't even about that. At the end of the day, what happened is what happened. So what you have to live with is what you have to live with regarding, you know, how you motion and how you move, not only to ensure that something like that wouldn't happen again, but also for you to be able to sit in the place in which your partner understands that you're willing to not only shut the fuck up and listen, but also for you to take the bullet when it comes to certain things, because she wasn't wrong. There is a certain thing as far as me not necessarily spending so much of my time on the phone when, you know, I could have used my energy in a more productive fashion, or continue to use my energies in more of a productive fashion, whether it was about business or not, because there's a time and a place for everything. So, you know, I said to myself, all right, cool. And I'm still learning, of course. I'm still doing a lot of things regarding healing, a lot of things regarding self-work, so that I don't devolve back into certain responses that are more familiar but don't get shit done. So fast forward, Chevy and I, we have a conversation. We talk about the essentials of how separating emotion from communication allows for communication to be just strictly what it is without rose-colored glasses. And so here we are, you know what I mean, regarding that. That African butterfly was going on with you, love. So we continue though.
Yeah. Well, first I'm gonna say, you know, like I'm glad that your girl, she is safe and, you know, taken care of. Because when you said the guy walked in the bathroom with her, like the first thing that jumped to my mind was like that story from a couple months ago about the lady who was raped downtown in the bathroom. So I was just like, oh shit, like I thought you were about to give me like a less horrified version of that. So first, I'm glad things was cool on that front, you know.
I wouldn't be on
And,
the I wouldn't I'd be I'll put that on there. But good.
And then, like, second, like, I don't. Well, I understand your plight a little bit, you know, especially like being on the phone, because that's something I hear from my folks a lot too, like from my people, you know, and especially like when I'm in the moment of just being around them, like it's just like, yo, put the phone down, like, you know, interact with us, like be one with us, like. So, like you, I'm also like, um, navigating that line of, you know, trying to be productive and do things that are pertaining to my career and the advancement of it, but also trying to be mindful of like the time and the energy I give to those I care the most about, you know, and making sure they feel my love, they feel my presence, they just feel me in a way that they don't normally feel me outside of just, you know, just seeing me, like you still got to be felt, like. And I think um I think that's something like we, from what your story is saying, like it's something that we both are navigating, you know, like, because that is a struggle in itself. And you know, like for instance, you know, I've been like, the way I've been bred or raised was always been prioritize the work, get that done. So like that is a hard switch for me now that I'm in my adult life, to kind of make a conscious switch to always be alert and active within my day to day. Because growing up, that wasn't always the case for me, like, or at least I didn't feel like I was always giving that love. Like I felt like my parents was more so in go mode, so that's where I learned how to be in go mode. I learned how to my grind from them. So it's hard for me to like use the images that they gave me, but now in today's they kind of flip it and make sure like not only am I also staying on that grind, but I'm also giving my time to my loved ones. And that's a hard pull because like the two do intertwine. And it is times where you have to kind of juggle which one is more important at that moment in time, you know. And I don't know if that's like an issue that you kind of having as well, you know, with your lady.
It's a part because multitasking is a nature thing, especially in society, but sometimes put me in a place where
Hold on, you going in and out for me.
what's going on?
Okay, now you back. Now you back. You was going in and out just now.
So yeah, put me where I began to understand the professional aspect of multitasking, how there's a place and there's a time for everything. You know what I mean? You're not going to necessarily be doing work in your living room as opposed to having an office in which you can do your work. So when you go to the office, it's not only understood for yourself that you're doing work, but for people around you, when they see that, it's a signal. It's an effortless, non-verbal signal that you're going to do work, as opposed to if you're outside and you with your loved ones and you're just on your phone and you have to explain to your loved ones, oh, I'm doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not necessarily the best time to be doing work when you out. Your attention could be best served in other places, more specifically with what's going around if you're not in the comfort of your own home or in wherever the place is that is necessary for you to do such work or designated for you to do such work.
True. But isn't that more of a plight for you? And I don't want to reveal too much, but you and your lady are both artists in aspects, so you guys draw like inspiration from just living life. So isn't that like a little bit of a more, isn't that more challenging for you when like you're living life and you're being inspired by life, not to, and at the same time, you know, work on the craft of creating more life, because like your art is life, but of a different aspect, you know, and you can't necessarily always control in your field like the time that the business occurs. Like sometimes it do happen at inopportune times, but you know, like that's also like the life of an artist. Like
I could, but I also would be a horrible artist if I said that how I allow order to help balance the. So I say that I could sleep on until the back at the. I mean, I could, I could eat. For example, when I write, like when I first started writing rhymes, I was writing and rhymes. Now I can write ways. I can style whatever the words come to me, just they flow out. I can write inside my mind, which is me actually putting lines together in my mind, reciting them in my mind before I actually rap them. I can write them. I can free write, which is me just putting words down without necessarily putting thought together. I can put free write and thoughtful writing together. There are several ways in which I can write now, so that you know, if I'm out and I want to just live life and experience things, I can have an instance in which there is a certain inspiration that happens, and I don't have to break my connection with nature in order for me to both enjoy the inspiration and still employ the mechanics of my artistry simultaneously. So really, it's about the type of artist that you continue to craft yourself to be in order to allow for a more efficient uh, longer hold as far as your being, and not allowing certain things what separate humanity and connection. Uh, uh,
I'm getting it.
Hold
So
on,
you're going out a little
going
bit.
in and out bad. So fuck all that sitting down shit. We standing up. Pardon me.
But I definitely get there. I definitely get there. Let's hit the comments a little bit, because I see them going up, but they started moving up where I can't
It's
catch
all
the
good.
last one.
It's all good. I got it. So C. Trice said, I suck at my awareness of that. I need people to communicate. Dig on that. Dig on that. You know, the Insight 513, she said, hey, what's going on? Peace and blessing, kings. We appreciate y'all, queens. Peace and blessings to y'all, queens, as well. Hey, for those who don't know, y'all check out the Insight 513. Erotic poetry events and series is going on in Philadelphia right now. They're holding themselves a prolific, a great platform in order for sex and sensuality to be experienced at a creative level, at a high level at that. We salute y'all. We send y'all y'all flowers, definitely. That African butterfly said it's harder for creatives and entrepreneurs than people who do a 9 to 5. It's harder for us to cut it off because we're trying to squeeze in time as it is between the other stuff.
And I will agree with that because I think that's my biggest difficulty. Like, all right, so I'm gonna use today for example. Like today was technically an off day and it was a chill day, but it was a long day to get to this point because this was like the wrap up of a family barbecue I had yesterday. I didn't get in from that event until like 2, 3 in the morning this morning. Wake up at 7 in the morning to my nephew, so I want to get him breakfast. I'm downstairs cooking the family breakfast. Now I got to get the day started. A couple smoothie deliveries. Got to run, go get the haircut. Now I'm trying to mingle with the family. I come back, my nephew, he having a mood. He having a day because he just really didn't get the chance to really step out, enjoy the weekend, step out in the sun. He a kid, so he having a typical tantrum, like a typical kid. So, to give him that warm embrace, I took the time that I was going to reserve, just to kind of get myself advanced, more so with smoothies as far as like designing new ideas, business model, logos and stuff like that. I moved along that side, which kind of is pushing me back for tonight, for something I got to get done for tonight. But I seen he needed me in that moment, like he needed some camaraderie. Like he needed his uncle to be like, look, let's get out. So I took him to the park. We stayed in the sun, spent more hours out in the sun than I anticipated. But like I see how happy it naturally made him. So it's just like, you know what, that's the win-win. And in that moment, I won just off of him getting his time. But I know there will be other moments where I won't be able to, even if I see him having that day, I won't be able to be like, yo, let me help get you out this fix. I got to prioritize the work because, like, that's going to take precedence at that moment, and, like, sometimes that dynamic between, like, work, off life, that line's too thin to navigate, and like it is really dependent upon like not only you but the people around you to be mindful of what you're doing. Like how you said, like you got the studio time, but like your loved ones also have to allow that space for you to kind of bring work home at times. Like not all the time, but sometimes to a point where like it makes sense for you, or it makes sense for the business, but not to the point where it's detrimental to whatever you're trying to get done. Like it's like I always say, like I think like how you got it with your lady right now is like a good thing where like she'll check you and be like, look, you're on the phone too much, like, and I do think that's a testament to like women, but like it's a testament to like a strong woman when she's gotten to know you. She knows when, okay, like I need to fall back and let him do this as opposed to, all right, you know what, let me take him away from this because like he can step away from it. It's just a matter of him just prioritizing, or he just get clouded into like this is what I gotta do right now, and I can just be like, okay, I gotta dial back. But you know what, I'm not even gonna say that's just a woman thing because I feel like that's a mate thing. As I'm saying it. And as I'm saying that, I am thinking about times that I've done it and my former mates have done it for me, where it's just like, it's just a knowing of who you're dealing with and being like, okay, I know you enough to know when you need a break or when you can put a break on things where they won't hurt you to enough where you can enjoy life. Because sometimes, I'm going to speak for myself, I'm a victim of where I'm overworking, or I'm feeling unaccomplished, where I'm like, I haven't done what I want to do to a point where I'm just like, you know what, this is getting on my mind too much, or this idea is staying on my mind too much. Whoever I made plans with, I could get to that. This idea just won't stay on my mind forever. And, like sometimes I'm getting to a point where I'm just like, you know what, just jot the idea down, or like let the idea go. If I really can't remember it, probably really wasn't going to do too much for me. Instead of like I'm trying to weigh out each option as it occurs in life. Like, is this business opportunity more important than this opportunity to invest in my people, or to invest in this relationship? And just like, in a way, kind of value in the two at the moment. Not saying one is more important than the other all the time, but at that moment, what's more important for my personal growth and like my personal growth with that relationship, like. Because at the end of the day, like, I gotta help myself to be able to help those around me. But like, you gotta be around those you love. Because I did see this one quote that's jumped out to me. earlier this week, and it's been, and when you brought the topic to me, it's the first thing that came to my mind, where it was just like, when you go, no one is going to remember the hours you worked, the money you spent on them, the conversations that should have been had or anything, but they're just going to remember the time you spent with them, the moments you shared with them. That's all they're going to remember. So, like, at the end of the day, like, I can keep saying, yo, I want to make this much money because I want to take care of my mom, my nephew, my this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, like, if they don't have any memories with me, you know, like, what have I done this all for?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm trying to. Go ahead.
I did. So we have a question about that African butterfly to you, Dash. She said, Dash, do you ever feel frustrated or resentful about having that pressure to find a balance when he's not a responsibility you chose? Parentheses, him being your nephew versus your son.
My nephew? Oh, being like a burden to me? I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah. There has been plenty of times where I felt that way. But he's not. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't feel like he is. But there's times like I felt that way due to my relationship with his folks, his parents, and just the like the dichotomy of how like the situation unfolds at times, and like the role I have to step into at times. You know, just to kind of make sure he's good, you know, like that is annoying, because at the end of the day, like, that isn't something I naturally created or stepped out to. That was just something that was brought into my life. But I'm also mindful of things that my grandfather and my stepfather kind of implanted in me as a kid, where it was just like, look, a part of being a man is just accepting what life throws at you and making the best of that situation. And, you know, like, I can complain, I can bitch, and I can do this, that, and the third, but at the end of the day, I'm a dude for that young boy, because, like, that's my guy at the end of the day. Like regardless of my relationship with anybody involved in him, like, that's my nephew. Like, all he knows is that's my uncle, you know, like, so I can be in an emotional place, and I can be like, yo, I ain't gonna do this because I'm mad at your mom, or I'm mad at your dad, or, you know, I'm mad that they keep putting me in positions where I have to do this, that, and the third for you. Or I can just be like, look, that doesn't involve him. Like, let me tend to him, let me give him what he needs, and I can just, you know, see them on the side, like, and address them, like, and meet them in the space, like, or at least try to meet them in the space of understanding, like, to an extent. Because it has to be understanding on all three levels. Like, it has to be understanding of what I'm doing for you guys and what you aren't doing, and vice versa, because, like, they are parents, because so there are struggles that they go through that I'm privy to, you know, like, I'm uncle, you know, so at the end of the day, I can give him back to them. Like, they can't give him to me. So I am mindful of that, like, as I'm, like, saying, like, yo, or I'm giving my advice, you know, it isn't like, yo, you should always be better at this and the third, because at the end of the day, like, how do you tell a parent they should be better? Like, I don't know what necessarily they're going through step by step. I just given my outside perspective, and then I could just give you like, yo, maybe you should do this, and the third. Maybe this might help out, you know. Now, if you take my advice, you take my advice. If you don't, you don't. But at the end of the day, I will not try to let that affect my relationship with him. You know, I gotta compartmentalize that whole situation and be like, you know what he needs and the frustrations I get out of it are gotta be two different things. You know, make sure he good, take my frustrations out on them, but do it in a space where it's understanding on all sides and when we can have that communication. And like when I was talking to Shab, I kind of got this gist of it where you guys were like mentioning speaking without emotion, and I was just like, that's a real key in this whole thing, speaking without emotion, and that's what I'm learning to do with them, where I'm like, I'm taking my emotions out of it, and I'm just talking to them just like as people, and I'm just like, look, I'm not uncle, I'm just Dante. But as a third party looking in, this is where you can step up at. Because if you don't do this, X, Y, Z can happen. And when you do this, that, and the third, these are the side effects that it may have on your child. You know, be mindful of that. Like, you don't necessarily have to take my advice, but just be mindful of what you're doing, what your actions are displaying, and what this kid is watching and viewing every day. and be mindful that kids pick up and learn their behavior from home first. Everything starts from home first. So.
Nah, that's a fact. Gang, what's going on with you, fam? And Big Knee, 30th Street. What's going on? What's going on? How y'all living? How y'all living? How y'all doing? So, I don't want this to seem like I'm coming off and saying that emotions is some bad thing. Emotions is necessary. The acknowledgement of emotions on either party regarding whatever multifaceted, dynamic conversation or interaction is going on at the time is imperative. However, emotions taken away from the communication so that the communication is the bridge that connects the worlds. Let's say you're talking about lands that are separated by the sea. The communication is the bridge that allows one emotional shore to be able to establish a channel to another emotional shore. I want to be able to understand where you're coming from emotionally. However, it'll be difficult for me to understand if you speak emotionally charged in such a way that either A, I'm triggered emotionally, or B, I cannot extract the message from the emotionality.
No, that's real.
What's going on?
No, I was saying that's so real because that's where a lot of arguments lead to when you're trying to be open with your mate or you're trying to be open with a person. It's that emotion. It's not even necessarily the words you're saying, it's how emotionally charged up you're coming. And I was actually having this conversation earlier with one of my friends where I was giving her like examples of like my mom and myself, for instance, where I was just like, it's simple conversations, but it was taken the wrong way because of how emotionally charged we were entering the conversation. And I was like using this instance where like my mom was frustrated with the Fire Stick device for the TV, and it was like messing up during her show, and it was just like kept buffering out of nowhere. And she was frustrated, and she was like reaching out to me like but calling my phone because I was downstairs. And so because she was upstairs, I'm naturally just ignoring the call because I'm just like, she know I'm downstairs. Why is she constantly calling me? So I'm hitting that ignore button. I'm hitting that ignore button every time she called, just like, yo, just call me if you need me. Like, and then finally she just like lost her cool and she would just start yelling. She was just like, yo, Don's like, what the fuck? I need you. Like, and just was just like, just snapping and venting about what she needed my help for. And I was just like, yo, just take a breather. Like, the situation could be rectified so simply. And when we got to the source of it, just like unplugging the device to replug it back in, kind of like giving it a reboot, it was such an easy problem, but it got taken the wrong way and put us both in bad moods where like I'm yelling at her and she was yelling at me over a simple, reaction of how the conversation started. Like a simple, yo, I'm having issues with the TV, as opposed to, yo, I'm having issues with the TV. Like, changed the whole spectrum of where the conversation flow went. Like, go ahead. I know I interrupted you, and
Nah, not at all. I wanted to get to a comment. C. Trice91 said, what % do you feel that you take time for yourself? The percentage is based off your personal me time and whatever you do to uplift yourself. Emotional responses must always be processed, not addressed, in my opinion. Respect to it. Respect to it. I will say this. This is something that I've come a long way with. I've come a long fucking way with. One of the not easiest, I'm going to rephrase. One of the best keys to have in terms of communication, healthy communication. One of the most premium keys to have in healthy communication. I'll say it again. One of the ultimate premium keys to have in communication is shutting the fuck up. I'm going to take it back to my situation.
That's so true.
When my lady said what she said, and to me, the context, it fit, but I wasn't on that type time. Once again, she didn't need me to respond to what she said. She just needed me to listen. It don't matter if I came at her with reason. It don't matter if I came at her with logic. It don't matter if I was within the same contextual groove as far as the response. She didn't need me to say shit. She just needed me to listen. So with that being said, I felt butthurt once again. I was emotional once again. What I did, I took off and went to myself. I just went by myself and I went to go meditate and went to go exercise because there was a lot of shit that I needed to process. One of the things that I mainly needed to process was this shit cannot happen again. Because when we had our talk, it's just like I told you. I said, God forbid anything to happen, I'd have been going to jail. Because there ain't nothing to talk about. Ain't no conversation, ain't no politics. My nigga, you in there with my lady. You gotta die. Like, don't, that shit can't, it's nothing else for it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said God is good. There ain't nothing else for it. Ain't no politics when it comes to that shit, nigga. God is ready for you. God is ready for you. Go home. You know what I mean? It's just that, you know what I mean? But even when I came back, you know, her response initially was, she said something to the degree of, I thought you wanted to just get rid of me or you wanted to disappear or something like that. You know what I mean? I was just like, nah. And that allowed me to understand. It wasn't like she was saying that on the level in which, obviously, on the surface, she meant that literally. Nah, she was checking the temperature. Because I didn't say anything. When she told me, I was just like, I apologize. It's never going to happen again. And I dipped off and I just went on my own. And I texted her. See, that's the other thing about communication. There's the other thing about even if you want to go to a space in which you're going into your own, when you're dealing with loved ones, you still have to put in that extra effort to let them know, hey, I'm going into my space, but this isn't anything against you, and I'm going to be back. So even when I went off into my space, I texted her after like an hour, and I let her know, look, I'll be back XYZ amount of time. I'm just doing this, that, and the third, so that she don't worry. So when I came back, she tested the temperature. It wasn't necessarily about me going anywhere. She just wanted to know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So when I responded warmly, it allowed her to know that not only was I in a better space, but what I went to go do with the information that she gave me, plus with what had happened, I'm no longer in the space in which emotionality is something that you have to worry about regarding how I'm going to respond. We can speak now on a way easier and a way more healthier frequency because I did what was necessary for me in order for me to cleanse my palate, so to speak, so that I can now I'll be able to digest the food without having yesterday's fucking brunch or yesterday's dinner to taint my tongue, and for me not to be able to really absorb the flavors of what you're dealing with as far as your dish for me today.
I love that. And I love how you guys handled that whole situation, like, just to be frank, like, because I love that whole interaction of you stepping away and taking time, but also communicating with her that you needed time, and her allowing you that space to have that time and step back there. And even checking the temperature, basic, like, because that's the underrated part of the stage of communication, like knowing how to check your mate's temperature, you know, without like trying to cue their emotions or getting them too charged up, knowing like how to slide up in there and just kind of open that door, you know. I like that. I love that, honestly, because that's something I'm trying to cultivate within my personal relationships with people, you know, and within myself, like where I'm more patient and lenient with myself and with those around me, where I do allow for that time to step away, and I do allow for that time to just like, yo, let me work on myself and step to you, like when I'm ready to communicate, and actually had that door open, because a lot of times I have been on like on an emotional end where it's just like I haven't been always understanding of that time, that emotional time needed to work on myself. It's always been taken as a, well, damn, like I'm trying to fix your issues now. Like, what you mean you ain't trying to talk? All right, you ain't trying to talk. You know what? Fuck you. Like, I don't even want to do it. Like, and now I'm in charge about stuff that I don't even gotta be bothered about. Like, I'm just emotionally charged just to be emotionally charged. Like, you dealing with your own demons instead of allowing you that time to be like, all right, you know what? Let me fix out what I gotta get on my own, then come to you and have this conversation. But I do feel like that conversation, that part definitely need to be translated to your mate. Like, yo, I need this time, because I'm gonna speak for myself when I say that. I've been one to like not mention like, yo, I need this time, or like, or even in situations where my mates have not told me they need time and just like took the time, it's always created that divide between us. Like, and the divide only increased more because you start leaning back on your own insecurities, you know, and start and like me, I'm a person where like the more time I have, the more time I have to create. And sometimes that creation is good and bad. And sometimes I create a whole story and a narrative about a person in the situation that never existed just off the what I have evidence as, you know, to pick from, you know, like so like I'm gonna use you and me for example, Jeide, you know, like we have an argument, you know, and it goes bad and you hang up the phone and I call you back a couple times and you don't pick up. My my initial instance is go, oh, Jeide really not fucking with me no more. Oh shit! Like I'm calling him, I'm reaching out, he really not gonna pick up for me. Oh fuck that! Like, and I'll get my emotional back instead of being like, you know what? Maybe what I was saying to Jeide, you know, really pissed him off to the point where he was just like, you know what? I can't talk to Dash right now because me talking to Dash is only gonna make me angrier and further, you know, enlarge this argument more than it has to be. So let me take myself out of the situation and de-escalate that. But instead of me like allowing you that time and space to process everything, I'll be like, oh, okay. You know, I'll create that a whole scenario. So when you do come back to me and want to make that conversation, I done got 3 or 4 different scenarios of what happened instead of the actual truth of what happened. So now I'm putting you back on defense mode and you're coming back to me with emotion and the cycle never ends. And it's just like we just on this merry-go-round of exchanging emotions, hurt, and insecurities just growing and growing because nothing is really being addressed. We just create more demons within ourselves by what's not being addressed and what's not being said. And that's where I love this topic because I was just like, that's where it took me mentally. Like I was able to just sit in a place where I was just like, all right, this is where I've cultivated some relationships. This is where some relationships transition from, and I just love hearing your perspective with your lady because it was like a blueprint of what to do in those situations as opposed to what not to do, like of how to properly take the emotion out of a situation and just allow yourself to be in the situation. Wait, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
My bad. All right, so once again, I gotta emphasize, you know what I'm saying? Like that one is a product of years of work between myself and her, respectively, before we even became a thing. That's years of work that we had to do with each other. And also, you know, there are going to be many times in which conversations will be emotionally charged. So now it goes to, well, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? You know what I mean? The only person that you really have control of is yourself regarding yourself and other people as far as dynamics and shit like that. My woman has told me something that I've seen women do for years and that I know women have done from time immemorial. She will say sometimes, hey, I am intentionally pushing your buttons. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, okay. Now, to some niggas, they'd be like, why would you do that? And it took me a while for me to understand that a woman who is intentionally pushing your buttons is polishing you. She wants you to get to a place where you understand on your toes how to respond, and not only how to respond, how to identify what it is that she's looking for from you in her pushing your buttons. She's not pushing your buttons just so she can have fun with it. She's actually sending you signals regarding something that she's looking for from you. So if you're going to go emotion for emotion, you're going to miss the signal every time. If she's pushing your buttons, she's looking for you. She's looking for something from you. She's looking for a response from you. She's looking for your presence in a circumstance. She's looking for your presence in communication. She's looking for your presence for you to be somewhere. Your mind might be somewhere else. Shit, your physical might be somewhere else. I know that if I push your buttons, you'll respond. How will you respond? You know what I'm saying? It's gotten to a point like I ain't gonna hold you. I'm still at a place now when I'm working, when I'm painting, I like my quiet, or I like listening to my music and grooving and just being in a space where it's just me and the paint. It's me and the paint. It's really a meditative process when I'm painting. You know what I mean? So when I share that space with my lady, there are times in which she's telling me certain things And in the back of my head, I'm just like, this is not conducive to my painting at all. But once again, a premium tool, a premium key of communication, shutting the fuck up. I just shut the fuck up and I continue to listen, because usually it gets to a point in which she might drop a gem. She might get to a point where my response is something that she's looking for. Communication is at least a two-way street. Ain't no one-way street with a communication, not even when you're talking to yourself. Communication is a two-way street. You know what I'm saying? So there are times in which you have to be selfless about your time, even when it's something you don't want to do, because there's something beyond your sight of recognition that is essential for you to learn in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, nigga, Andre 3000 said it best. You can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. So you could plan your whole entire life out. If you don't know what to do when the time comes for that weather to shift, you're going to be inefficient. You are not going to be somebody that people can depend on, that anybody. You won't be someone you can depend on, because you don't know how to be versatile enough for you to shift and groove when things push you to a place that you ain't planned for. It's essential as a man to plan. Don't get me twisted. Don't get me wrong. But it's more essential for a human being to understand how water works.
And keep on moving. It's like the old saying, like, I heard this old saying before, where it was just like, no man is ever the same, just like no river is ever the same. Like, once you take your foot out the river, it's changed, you know, so you'll never enter back in the same river, even if it is the same river, you know. And that's always been mindful to me, like a core I done kept with me with dating, because it's just like, even like as I'm getting to know the person, like whether it's re-knowing or continuing to further a relationship that's already established, like each day that passes by, that person is continuously changing. Each moment that passes by, that person is changing. So I'm never, no matter how well I know you, you're never the same person over and over again. So I always have to be mindful of that. Like, your mood is going to change, your actions are going to change, your ways are going to change. And although I may know like the core values of you, like some things are going to change just naturally. You know, and I have to be adaptable to that, and adaptable to the change, you know, and open to it. You have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, like, and part of that is being comfortable with allowing your person to grow wherever they may grow. Like, just trusting whatever connection you have to maintain it and continue to manifest as well. Like,
yeah, that's a fact. And I also want to emphasize too, you know what I'm saying? Nobody got time to care for any more kids or any more pets than the kids and the pets that they have. So when we're talking about partnerships, whether it's romantic partnerships, whether it's business partnerships, we're looking for people who have established themselves well enough to be up on their own too, that when we're walking, I'm not dragging your ass. I don't need to hold your hand through every single aspect. No, we are efficient on the platforms upon which we stand. With that, I mean this. Continue to do the work. Always continue to do the work. I love using this as an example because it's one of the illest examples ever. Whenever Chevy and I talk, we can go weeks without talking. We can go days without talking. Whenever we talk, we are always like this because we are always doing work. I'm always working. Whatever I'm working with, I'm always working. Whatever he's working with, he's always working. And we are not always in the same industry. He's mainly with cars as well as his art. I'm mainly with caretaking and with life and everything that's going on with the tumultuous shit that I got going on, as well as art. You know what I'm saying? Art and music is one of those commonalities, but we don't talk about art and music every time that we talk. So when we have those periods and those gaps in conversations, whenever we link, the books that I've read, the people I've talked to, the shows I've seen, the things I've heard in conversations, I bring it to him and it links and connects with the books he's read, the conversations he's had, the things he's seen and shit. And it don't be the same. It don't always be the same. But because we are doing the work, we are still refining our tongues. I'm bringing gems every time I come to the conversation. He's bringing gems every time he comes from the conversation. My gems might be from Mexico. This motherfucker might have been to Guatemala and got some motherfucking gems and shit. When we come to the table, we got international commodity. We have international economy that we can break bread about. You know what I'm saying? It's never going to fail. Even when it comes to romantic circumstances, romantic conversations, romantic instances, rather, do the work. When you come to the conversation, when you come to the table after you've done this work, your lady is going to be able to trust you more because certainly she's been doing work. Certainly she's going to be doing work. Nobody likes to be the one that everybody looks up to and be like, yeah. And then that's it, and that's the end all be all. Nah, nigga, I gotta tax your ass because what the fuck? If I'm the only one doing the work and you're just along for the ride, I'm gonna tax your ass because you're fucking a burden now. Nobody has time for burdens. If we are really establishing something, if we are really building something, do the work. So every time we link up, I got something for you, you got something for me, and guess what? We got something for us.
I like that. I actually love that, and that's honestly how all relationships should be. Because you should be bringing something to any relationship that you're involved in, like bringing something to the person where they feel like they need you. Because you do feel that energy, and you do feel when a person has become a burden in your life, like, and it can happen like just like that, like, and you just start feeling the energy naturally. Like I know, speaking for myself, like it's been times where. Like, I even hopped up on this palm. We done had conversations where I told you, like, you just feel drained. You know, you feel the energy just gone from you when you just around that person's aura with that energy. Or even when they reach out to you, where it's just like, damn, like, I gotta do this for you. Like, it could be the smallest of things, but it just feel like the most enormous of tasks because what they pour from you, they're not pouring back into you. You know, like, you don't feel that equal exchange. Like, when you with Shab, I feel like you get that equal exchange. Like, when I'm around either one of y'all, I kind of get that equal exchange because I'm able to, like, unload things about my life that I'm unable to unload other facets of my life for other people, you know. Like, you and Shab are two people who, you know, like, I can speak business with, but I can also speak pleasures with, you know, and life with, and have a well-diverse conversation as opposed to, like, some people in my life that are there for particular reasons, you know. And like they're specifically there, like not in a bad way, but they're just there for that. Like they offer me that type of advice, and vice versa. I might offer them something, but like it is like a currency exchange of a sense, you know, that we give to each other. Like I'm not giving to them something that they are giving back to me, you know, like, and that's how those relationships, you know, stay plentiful and enjoyable because we are giving each other back. And it might not be the most personal and most intimate of relationships, but at the same time, their quality, you know, like because it is a currency of something, like it's information, it's kindness, it's whatever. So we keep those relationships alive because, like, you know, like it benefits me to be friends with this person, like, and sometimes like that's not always a bad thing. Like I think sometimes like we get on this platform, we talk about like certain relationships where we break down the aspects of it with that person involved, and like when I give my take on it, I do feel like sometimes I kind of paint it in a negative narrative, but in this perspective, I'm trying to paint it where it's understood, like how you said, like it's just partnerships. Like some things you just have you have arrangements with people and understandings with people where they just know, like, look, I give you this, you give me that, and that's how our relationship works. But you know, like it is a well working relationship in that sense. You know, I'm rambling at this point.
Nah, that's real. That's real shit, though. That's real shit. So we're about to wrap up this hour segment. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for everybody who has joined us this evening on today's topic. But before we're out, you know what it is. You know what the tradition is. We got to leave something up on the table as the lasting thought. Dash, what's your lasting thought as far as tonight's conversation that you would like to leave on the table for the people before we out of it?
I'm actually use something you said earlier in this conversation not too long ago. Do the work. Do the work. You know, do the work in all your relationships and continue to do the work. Show up for your people and have them show up for you. Hold them accountable. You know, like that's where I'm at in life. You know, like I'm holding myself and those around me accountable. You know, like I'm holding myself accountable to my core values and my where I feel like the integrities of a man should be. You know, and I'm taking that hard look in the mirror and really like being like, all right, it's just the man you want to be. You know, not saying I'm a bad man, but like I really had to have that look, had that talk with myself where I was like looking in the mirror. I'm just like, all right, is this the man you gonna be? What is it about myself that I like right now? And I actually made like a whole positive and negative list to it where I like listed out all I felt was my positives and all my negatives. And I was just like, I looked at my negatives and I was like, I want to turn them negatives into positives. So what do I have to do to turn those negatives into positive while still remaining myself? Okay, this is what I should do. This is what I should do. This is what I should do. And trying to make sure I'm mindful of that every day. Like even when I'm stressed out, I'm like going back into my head. I'm just like, breathe. Situation not really that deep. Let it go. You know, where I'm like trying to take myself where I'm not as emotionally charged about certain situations. Like even like how we talked about earlier, like with my nephew and stuff. Like I had an instance like this morning where he came in, he was just like, yo, uncle, I'm hungry. You know, like I ain't even tripped. I just took the emotion out of it. It was just like, yo, my nephew needs me. Let me make breakfast. Like, and I'm just trying to just see the bigger picture of it all. Like, and not trying to get caught up into the small, mundane emotions of it all. Because, like, I could be emotional about it all, but really, how's that going to benefit me or those around me, you know? Like, go ahead.
That's a fact. Hey, look, man, my lasting thought is going to be something real simple. I already mentioned it before a couple of times throughout the course of this conversation, and this is also word to Kendrick Lamar. You know what I mean? It's really simple. Shut the fuck up when you hear love talking. You know what I mean? That's simple. You know what I mean? That's my lasting word. Dash, is there anything that you like to talk about as far as the brand and as far as links and merchandise before we out of here?
Oh, yeah. Definitely hop up to T-Shirt Mercenary. Cop these T-shirts, you know. The PVM boys, you know. It's a PVM summer, guys, you know. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Positive Vibes Maybe, for those who want to subscribe. Follow Jeide, follow myself. Follow Fly Mouth Catering for your few smoothies. You know, got those all summer, all winter, all spring and fall for you. A lot of fruits, vegetables, toppings, and flavors to choose from. So definitely slide over there, place your order. Deliveries are available as well. And, well, that's all I got tonight, you know, besides, you know, download that song by Kendrick Lamar, Purple Hearts, featuring Ghostface Killer, Summer Walker. It's fucking fire. The album is fire. Also, Chris Brown new album is fire. Go listen to that. You know, and if you guys are really interested into getting into just some real good music, damn, I forgot her name, but it's Alex something. I'm gonna come back on here Wednesday, but she a jazz singer, all instrumental. I fared her by Xnet, like, cause you know my nephew, he loves the drums and shit, so I was just looking for some cool jazz artists, and I just stumbled upon her, and she do like a lot of instrument work, where she was like on the pianos for whole key tracks, the violins, the drum my nephew loved the most, cause she was fucking them up, like she had all the drums up in there with the ting 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 ting. Like it's the shit fire. So if I can find it, I'm gonna send you the link, cause it's like smooth, relaxing, and I think it's something you might enjoy like while you painting, because like when I had it on the background here, it was just like something enjoyable where he was able to drum to. I started kind of getting in my bag a little bit with the writing, you know. So it was like something like we was able to really relax and unwind to. So definitely, you know, check that out. Jazz music is a clutch, guys. Like if y'all need something to just relax to, unwind, no words, just listen to some good instruments, you know, that smooth out the soul and the spirit. And that's why I want to leave y'all with, you know.
Fact. Listen, we're gonna be back here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna be back up on here Wednesday, 7 p.m. Same time, same place. PVM Talk Show, IG Live. I go by the name of Jeide Track. It's my brother Dash. Tune in. You know how we carry it, you know what I'm saying? Love and peace.